This thing is massive. Now, today is episode 40, and can you believe we've already made it this far through the series? It feels like it has just absolutely flown by. But if you're a supporter of any tier, whether that is on Twitch, over on Patreon, here on YouTube, or especially over on the Discord, be sure to get your world download, all of it linked over on the Discord, and you can find all of that information down in the description below. And yes, this world will contain all of this epic stuff that you've seen thus far in the series. So thank you so much for your amazing support and enjoy the world download. Now, on with today's episode. Episode 40. Can you believe we've made it this far? I cannot. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about how I've been taking this pack, and I've been working on this very slowly. This has been a mod pack that I've just been taking my time in, and I've been enjoying it a lot more because of that. And the way I kind of want to demonstrate how slow I've been going at this, let me just kind of compare a couple of things. Now, in my statistics, I can actually take a look at my playtime. And you can see right here, the playtime is setting at 6.21 days. I've sneaked for like 4 hours, right? So 6.21 days is a pretty large number, especially in comparison to other mod packs I've played. For example, all the mod 6 to the sky, I beat the entirety of that mod pack, the entirety of it, getting the all the mod star and all of that stuff in less time than that. I'm pretty sure it was almost identical to that time. And so, yes, I have been taking my time with this one. Now, I'm not exactly done with this pack. There's a lot of things that I want to still do. And well, I thank you guys, by the way, for supporting that allowed these episodes to continue this far throughout the series. Because let's be honest, the views 100% fall off at, well, this point. It's still my goal to be as entertaining as possible through these episodes, and it is an unfortunate thing because I feel like some of the coolest things happen late in the series. Like, for example, today's episode, because I want to go after ancient debris, because I want to build the max power resistor, I guess you can call it, for our create new age power generators. And yeah, it's going to be a pretty boring task. You get the pun. Well, I guess you'll get the pun here in a minute, because with that boring task, we are going to create a massive bore, much like we did at the beginning of the series. However, this one is going to be specifically suited for the nether, and we can build it any shape we want. Hey now, it's going to be a circle, okay? Nothing else. So, to get this started, I have been producing a ton of andesite alloy because we are going to need a lot of it, because I'm going to be making a bunch of drills. Now, we already have the basis of a contraption set up for drilling, but I'm going to have to modify this quite a bit for the nether. Now, you might think that trains might be well suited for this particular task, and I will say trains could be well suited for this task, but you can't actually pick up trains, if that makes sense. Now, these cart contraptions, you can just pick them up and put them in your pocket. Trains, you can only move them from track to track. So getting them into another dimension or getting them, getting them somewhere else over a long distance is just not an easy task. Well, that is unless you turn your train into a cart contraption. That's a whole other complicated topic. Now, just to recap, if you missed that episode, I'm going to give myself some levels so I can fly here. Basically, what we have is a cart assembler, some rails here. I have a lever, and I'm going to place my cart contraption down that we've built. And when this is powered, this is not going to try and move anywhere. But you can see everything going on right now. I think this actually is not powered, but when it is powered, it will try to place blocks and all of that fun stuff. But what I want to do is I want to kind of break this. Now, the netherite in the nether is kind of interesting. You'll find it mostly between like Y level 8 to 24-ish to 28-ish. I recommend like maybe 24 because the fall off for the ancient debris is pretty dramatic. So we can actually see it right here. And you can see like the most prominent area to mine for it is like roughly between like Y level, it looks like 15 to 14. I typically try to mine at Y level 14 for the stuff, but we can actually mine out this whole triangle area. I feel like that's going to be a great place. So for example, 8 to like 20 to 21, I feel like would be the most prominent place to mine. Now, with that in mind, we need to kind of construct ourselves a drill head that is going to work with that size. And so I'm going to have to remove pretty much all that exists right here. Yeah, so I'm going to unglue all of this, and all of these are going to get broken down, and I'm going to reuse most of them, but we're going to have to craft a ton more drills because this drill setup is too small. For me to be able to get the amount of scrap that I need is going to take forever if I use a small drill. So I was thinking I could build something that, for example, is like 16 tall and maybe like 64 in total wide, but that would be a ton of materials that I just don't have at the moment. But there are other solutions. I'm pretty sure I can figure out a way better solution to this. And I think that solution is going to be to build a 17 by 17 drill head circle. Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So it is going to be this tall and is also going to be 17 wide. This thing is going to generate a massive circle. And what we can do is on the main middle section, we can expand out to the sides, left and right. Man, this really puts it in perspective how large this actual drill bore is going to be. Yeah, this thing is really starting to come together now that it is an entire circle. And then I just need to fill it in. It's going to cost a lot of drills. Now, with this entire thing filled in, you can really start to see the scale. This thing is massive. Now, the whole backing of this is going to get completely changed. So all of these chests that contains tons and tons of items, I need to dump out all of that material, and I'm going to be actually replacing these chests with an item vault. Now for the item vaults, I'm going to be setting up this 3x3 item vault, and that is going to run along the top just like this. And that is what's going to contain all of the items that are going to be routed through this bad boy. Now it might also be a good idea to add multiple, because this thing, I think, is just going to end up being a lot. So maybe having 2 of them is going to be a good idea. Now, as far as our inching mechanism goes, I think this is all still fine and well. So this is the only thing that's going to need to be changed. And I think we're going to have to switch that to, well, netherrack. That's the only thing that actually makes sense being in here. So the platform will be built out of netherrack, because that's what we're going to be collecting most from this being underground. So now with all of this in place, I think it's time to glue it all together. Oh boy, this is a massive, massive undertaking here. So I'll definitely glue the main section together like so. And then I'll make sure to glue this here, glue these things across, because we definitely want to make sure that all of this is connected. And then definitely the main line needs to be routed through, making sure that's all connected. And it's just a matter of hoping that I get everything right and connected up. So now that this is all glued together and everything looks fine, well, I think it's time to kind of test things out. Now, to get items into here, I do probably need to add an extension onto this, like a funnel, or I don't know if this is going to work, but maybe a Tom's interface. So if we add ourselves like a storage terminal to both of these sections, this might function. I don't know if it's going to count as like separate connectors. So I'm going to make 2 for this and hope that this works. So yes. The storage terminal should let us access the internal storage of this thing, which you see right here. And we can see there's nothing in there, but if I start to put items in, we should see that. And I should be able to also glue this to the main storage, or at least so I hope. So I'm going to get that glued in and this one glued in, and hope that I can access and put items in this and also pull them out. If I can't do that, I'm going to have to rethink this entire thing. All right, so now we can pick this up and literally put it in our pocket. It just blows my mind that we can do that. Now I'm heading back down into the nether, and just to kind of show you what I'm actually working on right now, If we go to the New Age mod, this material right here, the netherite magnet, is a 24 magnetic force compared to our 8. And I kind of did the math. I think it's going to cost 90,000 stress units for a single coil that is going to be generating power. And so we should have enough. We're producing like 800,000 SU. But to make these, they require a bit of diamond. Diamond's pretty easy to get, and it produces 2, but we do need a lot of scrap. And if I remember correctly, each coil needs 44. So each double coil is going to need 44 of these. So we can take this number and multiply it by 4. Or multiply 4 times 44 and then divide that by 2, and that should get us how much scrap we're going to need. And then we can divide that by 2 again, and that'll get us how many ancient debris we're going to need, because these ancient debris, we should be able to get 2 out of them. For example, if we build an arc furnace. But I think I'm definitely getting ahead of myself, because we need to get this tunnel bore placed in the first place. And well, we need to get to mining. Now, I want to be a little bit lower than this to start on this mine. And right here, we are at Y level 14. And I think I want this to be at Y level 8. So now here we are. I'm going to place down my controller well to make sure it does go in the correct direction whenever we do power it on. Also making sure this is facing in the right direction. I should be able to place down my cart, and that is going to break all of the blocks that are actively in its way. And there it goes. And so that just clears out a huge area in its own right. And then I just need to make sure that we have enough room right here, and we'll get our basic rails placed in that this is going to need. And then I just need to place the rails into the storage. So I'm going to place the powered rails, and then I'm going to give it like 3 or 4 of these redstone blocks here. And then I think we're ready to turn this on. If all else fails, I can also just pick up the contraption. So we should be fine there. But this thing is going to mine a massive area. Now, I just kind of want to follow it around. I don't think I want to ride on it, because this is in the nether. You got to remember that. And this thing is going to be going through blocks. Lots of blocks. It's going to be mining through lava. And I think just following it might be a good idea. But let's go ahead and kick it on. Oh, goodness. And this is mining a ton of blocks at once. Now, can I access this with the terminal? I cannot. So the only way we can access this inventory that it is mining is by simply just re-breaking it, I guess. Yep, just picking it back up and placing it back down. That is a huge area this is mining. And it's doing it so flawlessly. Look at it. Look at it go. Also, I need to make sure not to pick up the rails, which I think I was doing. Look at that. That is 100%. It should mine up ancient debris. At least I hope it mines ancient debris. I didn't test, but it should. It can mine diamond. So I assume if it can mine diamond, it can also mine ancient debris. We're just going to have to continue to look as it continues to do this. This is ridiculous. We can actually see this thing happening right here. Wow. Yeah, that is something else. Like, if anything, we are clearing out a massive, really cool looking area. But on top of that, we're also mining up a bunch of quartz and gold. But yes, my main goal is ancient debris. I don't... Oh, there's our first ancient debris. So we got one. We're going to need a lot more than that, though. I might as well take a seat. I'm going to be here a while. Now, if I've done my math correctly and we are effectively doubling our ancient debris, then I guess in reality we only need 44 ancient debris. Now, this right here is one of the reasons why setting on the thing and not really paying attention could be a bad idea. But I should be able to walk through this, and by judging with the map, even though I'm moving very slow through this lava, I should hopefully be able to make my way through it while taking a little bit of damage. Oh, this is a grueling task, getting through the lava here. But thankfully our map does look like it has opened up on the other side, which is very nice to see. And there we go. Okay, that was very interesting. So now, after being about 750 blocks away that this has mined, a massive, massive tunnel, as you can see, Well, we now have 44, and that's not counting the ones that I've mined out of the walls, because we do have like 16 in storage as well. So I do have a few in here. So that's actually more than enough. However, that still doesn't change the fact that we need to set up some immersive engineering infrastructure in order to actually duplicate this. Also, something interesting I found out from doing all of this and dumping the items out, whenever you're setting on a seat, it acts as like a pretty large magnet. I didn't actually know that. But yeah, and I also ended up creating a magnet backpack that basically picks up the items and voids them, because I just wanted to trash these. So with the main thing I was needing being these ancient debris, I should be able to pull them out, and we actually have 46 in here. Now, something I wanted to test. If I remove this and I put this on one of these sides, yeah, that should show me the small amount of items that I have located over there. And unfortunately, these only span 3 blocks. So yeah, that kind of causes problems because there's actually items over here as well. There's items in all of these sub item vaults. Now I'm definitely going to need room for this arc furnace. So I'm going to start tearing down this thing right here. And then I'm going to convert this little area into more of an industrial space, because I'm going to need like a 5x5 place for our arc furnace, and we're also going to need a place for our squeezer, because to be able to use an arc furnace, you actually need a rod, a graphite rod. And so to be able to make that, we do need a squeezer. By the way, while I'm tearing this down, I want to show you something actually kind of cool, because breaking this glass is, you know, kind of slow. It's very slow, but if you throw bricks at it, it's not as slow anymore. Actually a lot easier. Look how quick I can break this glass. That's fantastic. Now, something I'm going to be using for this is some hempcrete, which is kind of an interesting concept. It's like fibrous concrete, basically. And I'm going to be placing it and mixing it into what is currently our regular concrete. And this is going to be the platform base for our machines. Now, in order for me to make an arc furnace, there's several things actually that were required in this particular pack. And that is going to be actually making a blast furnace. Now, I've kind of put this off because we had other ways of getting steel, but steel blocks off from the immersive engineering mod, for example, for the arc furnace, it's still required in that very specific block. As you can see here in the arc furnace multi-block, you have these blocks of steel. Now, they still use this steel here, but in the middle specifically requires the immersive engineering variant, which kind of does cut down on a lot of the grind, because at least you don't have to wait for entire solid blocks to be produced inside of the blast furnace. So this is the thing that we're going to need, but we're also going to need to take this and upgrade it to the next tier. This is typical for the immersive engineering progression line, but we should be able to just immediately skip to the next tier, I do believe. So blast furnace has 2 different types. We have our beginner, which we're going to need to make all of these blocks anyways, but just combining it with a steel sheet actually upgrades it to the next tier. And then we can make this a bit faster by adding 2 of these blast furnace preheaters onto this. So I should be able to ultimately just skip the base step, right, by taking some of that steel and pressing it down. Now, the only difference between the coke oven and the upgraded reinforced blast furnace is that, well, we just need to place a hopper on it to activate this multi-block. And as soon as we do, we get this nifty looking little blast furnace. Now, these 2 sides right here are for the improvements, but you don't actually need them. This will work like a normal blast furnace, but it is best to put them on the side, but they do require power. And thankfully we actually have some. Now I should be able to connect these up. So there's one preheater, and then this is another preheater that goes on the side. And both of these are going to receive connectors on the top. And so I'm going to place these. This is going to send it power. And then I should be able to just connect another connector right here. And I'm placing it, by the way, on top of a wooden post. And then I will connect that up. And then I will connect these to each other like so. And so now these should be powered up preheaters. And what we need is still coke. So we are going to still need coke right here. And I'm going to use a stack of it. And we're going to take some iron, because I do need to save some of that other coke for some other stuff. But I can go ahead and put this in. Now, I believe this is a 3 times process. So each one of these coke blocks right here, it says it'll smelt 16 items, but that's not true for this. This lasts 60 seconds. And if we see how long this takes to convert into iron, or into steel, we'll see it takes 60 seconds for one. So I guess it is 1-to-1. Yep, it does appear that way. I think the block form, though, is a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Now, on the front, if we take a barrel, for example, it should auto output to the front and will output the product. And in the back, this will actually auto output the slag that is going to be produced in this. And you can use that slag to make more concrete and stuff like that. This process with this one is pretty fast. You can see it's already produced a single steel right here. And yeah, that I will definitely take advantage of, because we're going to need a few blocks, at least 6 blocks of it, to be able to make the arc furnace. Now, for the next thing, we can actually use a new mod that was recently added in this pack, and that is the immersive petroleum mod. And the reason that this is pretty darn cool is it adds in the projector. Now, the way I remember the projector working is you would basically combine this with your book, but it looks like in this version, you can actually select the thing you want to make, and it will actually place it in world for you to be able to see how to build these multi-blocks, because immersive engineering is heavy on that. So in this, I need to build a squeezer. So let's find ourselves an industrial squeezer, and that is now selected, and we should, let's see, we should be able to place this in, right? So the industrial squeezer is selected, we can hit confirm, and we can now see a basic outline of this connector, of this squeezer. And so I should be able to start to place it in like this, ever so delicately. There we go. I will place in the light engineering block, a couple of pipes. This is a very simple machine, by the way, and then it's going to automatically show the next level. Oh, that is so much nicer than it used to be. And this is going to require wooden barrels right here. Good old liquid barrels. And then on top, we are going to need a piston that is facing upside down. So the best way to do this is by using your K-lock with cork by looking up. And that should place it down for us. And then I can hit K to turn that back off. And then we're going to need 3 steel fences. And then that is fully completed. The projector is ready to go. And all I have to do to activate this is right click in the middle. There we go. Can it make nut milk? I probably. So now this is going to get connected into the power network the same way. The power node is right here. And so a connector, and then we just simply need to drag some power onto it. So now this is connected. Now the reason why we are making a squeezer right now and not a crusher is because create adds crushing wheels. And typically to go through the progression, you would have to crush coal coke with a crusher from immersive engineering, but not in this case. We actually can take our coal coke that we currently have, and we should be able to crush this down in a crushing wheel to get coke dust. That coke dust then goes into a squeezer. You can see right here, 8 of them make hop graphite, and then the hop graphite needs to be turned into ingots. And then we'll take these ingots and we'll put it through a workbench to make ourselves a graphite electrode. And we need this electrode in order to operate the actual arc furnace. So with that, we should be able to boop our coal coke into here, and that should just get routed directly into here to produce coke dust, and then we just need to put that into our squeezer. That's pretty straightforward. I don't think it gets any simpler than that. So whenever we open the interface for this, if we put it inside, this actually has an animation where it's going to do an operation, and it should produce it right here. Now, another way that we can get this is by actually putting it through a press with a mold, and we should get a 50% electrode, which is not too bad. But the way that we can actually get a full one is by doing it through the workbench, but we have to get an immersive engineering villager that utilizes an engineering's crafting table up to level 5 to do this. You know what? I'm kind of up to the task on this one. If I break their workstations, they should turn, and then if I add one, hopefully they will seek it out. Oh boy, get back over here. Don't do that. Okay, and this one has now turned into a wizard. Eventually, we will get them to convert. Hopefully. Come here. I don't want you linked to whatever you're about to link to. So if I put them in here, it should eventually link to this. If I block off this door. Aha! And there we go. We have a machinist ready to go. So air apparently for emeralds. Okay. We can definitely buy a few hammers with our current emeralds. Oh god, this This might take a little while. How do we trade for air? I don't think that's possible. Man, I really hope this guy actually trades these things. Oh, because this could be expensive. All right, it should be on the next level. And this is an expert, so we're almost there. These things are very expensive. I'm going to buy these steel components, though. Oh, man, too many? Okay. Apparently, we can buy the advanced lubrication systems. Oh, man. So the last two things purchased, and this should now be max level. Oh, and thank goodness, it does give us the arc electrodes. Oh, nice. And we also get, what is this? Rock softening acid. Oh, man. So now that I have that, I can go ahead and put it inside of here, and you can see there's our hop graphite electrodes. So I just need this to finish cooking up, and then I just need to put that in there. So we are so close. So close. Now I still need to build the multi-block, as these electrodes, by the way, they last a long time. So I'm going to be removing this squeezer, and the electrodes should be more than lasting. But I put the items in here, and there we go. We have ourselves a 100% integrity graphite electrode ready to go into our furnace. Now inside the projector, oh boy, this is a little bit bigger of a structure. This thing is a 5x5, so we're gonna need to find a nice place to place it. I think right there is pretty good. And then we're gonna be able to sort of see all of the things that it's going to need. Thankfully, JEI makes this a whole lot easier. So inside of the arc furnace, we can actually see all of these items, and we can now mark them over here as the items that are required and that we're going to need. Oh, and by the way, we're also going to need to make an alloy kiln. This is a very small little multi-block that's going to require a hammer, and we are going to need this for one particular alloy. And yes, it just gets regular coal. We're going to need gold and silver for this. And that is going to produce electrum. And I have plenty of silver, I think. That combined with coal should get exactly what we need. So that goes in there. And there we go. We're going to start blending these things together. So now after tearing down the machine, because we're also going to need all of those blocks, it's basically an upgrade to our blast furnace. After tearing that down, I've decided to move this sort of here into the center. This is kind of a major machine here. And so I'm going to need all the space for it. And here we go. We have just about everything ready to go. On the front, this is going to be a cauldron. And then it's just a matter of placing it in. You can see when I'm holding the blocks, it actually highlights where they actually need to go, which is kind of nifty. For example, this is saying, hey, place this down here, and so on and so forth. So with my first layer done, we start to move into the next one. I think the only components I do not have are the redstone made up, and I don't have the engineering blocks made up, so the light ones. Now, I think you can make these components much cheaper, by the way. Inside of the component table. It's only going to take 2 of the sheets instead of what I'm using, but I have so many resources, it really doesn't bother me to use them all. At this point, it doesn't really feel like a necessary thing I need to go through. So I've almost got the entire thing built up and ready to go, and now it's fully assembled. The only thing I need to do now is click it with our wrench, and the hottest topic ready to go. Nice. So there it is. So if you move the projector, we can now see this beautiful machine. Now, these are all power ports on the back. We're probably only going to need one. And then the electrodes go in the top. So there are 3 slots for electrodes. And I don't remember if we need specifically 3 or if it will work with just 1. We'll have to find that out. Let's go ahead and take some debris. And let's get this powered up and see if it will run with just 1. If not, we can easily make more rods. So on the back, I'll just slap on a connector, connect to here, give this bad boy some power. This is now filled up. And let's see, will it work with just 1 electrode? It does. It doesn't look like it's actually doing anything. So yes, we're probably going to need at least 3. So let's go ahead and get 2 more of these rods made, place them inside. And there we go. Now this thing is fully up and running, and we can take our debris. And, oh, it's in my inventory. We should be able to take our debris, and we should be able to now get 2 for 1 out of it. Oh boy. Getting power on here is a bit of a problem, though. This does take quite a bit of RF to operate, but it is enough to actually get ourselves the 2 that we need. Which is perfect. So yeah, it is going to completely consume all of our power. And I mean, we've got to be producing quite a bit of power, right? But it's surprising that this is actually consuming all that we are currently producing. Now, I know that once we get our these things upgraded, it's going to be producing way more than enough power. But man, I know these were producing like at least 1,000. So like we're producing like 2,000 RF per tick. And this cable should support 2,000 RF per tick. I have no idea why. That's kind of ridiculous. You know what? Maybe it's because all 3 of these ports actually do need to be connected. I mean, it's worth a shot. But I don't remember this using that much power. I mean, times do change. But yeah, we are totally not supplying enough. But I love the animations on this. It's so cool. You can also set it up, by the way, to evenly distribute, and it's supposed to be able to operate on multiple items at a time. But yeah, it's definitely not doing that, as you can totally tell. We're just not supplying it with nearly enough power. Not yet anyways. Now, of course, the main reason for setting all of this up in the first place was just to kind of limit the amount of time that I needed to mine for all of these materials, because in reality, we do need, I believe, 44 of the actual scrap in order for us to upgrade all of these blocks over here into the top tier version of the magnet. Now we are almost there. I have all that I'm going to need right here of our scrap, I believe. And then over here, I've just got to get basically, I think it's 110 total overcharged diamonds I'm going to need for this. So I've just got to get those charged up because I already had 32 regular charged ones here. And we are almost ready to upgrade these 2 coils back here into the max tier that's in this pack. Oh, this is exciting. I mean, this is a lot of work to get to this point, to be fair, just for some extra coils. Now, something to note at this point, like we could have done this with way fewer of these, but I'm going to be using 2. I'm going to be basically upgrading our same set that we have right here. So this would actually be different if you just had 1 coil, for example. But in my case, I'm hoping this is enough to upgrade our coils, and let's go ahead and start crafting them. We need 44. Exactly. 44. Oh, goodness. And there we go. We now have all that we need to upgrade, and we could also probably set these up, but I really want to see and make sure that we are able to produce enough stress. We have 800,000 SU being produced right now, and we're only utilizing a small amount of it. So I'm hoping that if I did my math correctly and I divided this down by, for example, the factor of 8 here, these should cost 90,000 for each coil. Ultimately, this whole thing with these level 24 magnets should hopefully only use up about 400,000 of our total 800,000 that we have right now. So I guess this is the moment of truth. Let's start filling this in, and we can already see the stress increasing for each block we put in, and it should be about 90. Oh, it's only 80. So that's way less than I actually anticipated. Oh, so we should totally be able to support these at max. And the cool part is we actually save on 4 blocks by setting it up in this particular configuration. Like I said, there are other configurations that would save you even more. We somehow overstressed our system just now. I'm a little bit blown away. And I'm a little bit blown away, actually. So I wonder if we may have some Steam engines down. I do need to check my main Steam system over here and just see. Okay, so it says we're only producing this tier, so there might be an issue right now with this setup right here not showing up. Oh boy. And now this is where I have had some sort of troubleshooting issues where when connecting my stress all into one system, for some reason down here, I have had issues with these controllers, rotational controllers actually breaking and not connecting my stress appropriately. And directly here as well. So on our main line, this is actually the one that has shut off, and the controller for some reason tends to break here. So what I have to do is grab a controller and unfortunately make a new one because they disappear. And I have to make sure this is set to a rotation of 4 and then place this back in. And then my stress is back to normal. Now I should have the total of what, 800,000? Yeah, now we have the 800,000. Now we can put this back together, and hopefully nothing breaks on world load. That is where issues often arise. So, without further ado, we'll put the rest of these in. And that is it. These are now producing 4.3 thousand RF or power per tick now. So we are producing about 8,000, a little over 8,000 RF from this, which now this should be more than enough to power this arc furnace whenever we have the appropriate cables connected. Which, funny enough, even the max tier cable here doesn't support that amount of power that we are currently producing. That is hilarious. And something else to note about this, it is only at 92.3% efficiency. So there is still going to be some SU loss on transferring this power around. Now, to be able to produce those wires, I've set up a little bit of a sequenced assembly here. Basically, this is going to loop around, and in the filter, I basically have these overcharged wires. I have those set in the filter as a blacklist, so it'll just throw them out. So a nice little simple automation here. I can toss that in. It's going to charge up. Then it's going to loop around until it is fully completed, and then it's going to toss it off over here, which I'll just collect, because I think the only time I'm ever going to make these is when I actively need them. So yeah, there's no reason to keep these in backlog. So now with our new power setup and also the new cabling running, I can now thankfully power this entire arc furnace. I know, all of this to power an arc furnace, but let's see. It still though is not enough to power the arc furnace more than its first slot. It is still just an absolute boss when it comes to the amount of power required. And you can tell, even with this massive infrastructure set up to power with these, it's just not doing the job. It's just absolutely ridiculous that it does take that much power to power this arc furnace in comparison to what we're actually making with just this create mod. So yeah, I mean, things definitely need to be configured with the New Age mod, depending on, you know, how packs are sort of set up. But yeah, I know in immersive engineering, you can definitely generate significant amounts of power with, for example, diesel and stuff like that. So like 5,000 RF, you could be producing with a diesel generator from immersive engineering. And it's honestly not that hard to set up either. Compared to this, this is a monstrosity. But I will say this has been an absolute blast to set up, and I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode. Of course, if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button. These episodes do take a tremendous amount of time to sort of put together, think about, and also, you know, actually spend the time in game to do it. So definitely give this video a thumbs up, and like I said, click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell if you haven't already. And with that, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. That huge thanks is going to go out to Mr. Firefox. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, by choosing to support me over on Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible. Thank you so much. And of course, if you guys are a supporter, like I said at the beginning of the video, be sure to get your world download. This will be available over on the Discord as of the time of this video. So guys, I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.